All right, so some of the resources that I gave you guys uh, focused on how you guys were doing the edits, either shooting toward editing towards the dialogue or editing towards the eyes. So you need to have your story, and that's where you guys have your guys' storyboard and stuff like this. If I was building from scratch, like this Topa Topa commercial, I'm going to look for the interviews and then start putting B-roll and stuff on top of that to build the message that I want to send. So this is Casey, and he's talking about, why a beer maker should like.
I always tell people that if you want to become a brewer, you have to be obsessed with beer and love it. It takes a special individual to.
Okay, so I'm actually going to pull that whole thing in there. Now, focusing on the timeline, I do not have to put everything on the same line as what the previous video is. On here, so let me magnify this. Right now I just have 3 video tracks, I have 3 audio tracks. I can right click and I can add tracks. I can add, I believe you can go up to 99 video tracks, 99 audio tracks. I can choose if I want to lock a track so that I can't do anything to it. I won't degrade what my current option is. Okay, I can choose to hide that track so I can't see it in the program monitor. For audio, I can mute a track or I can solo that track out. I could also voice over record for a specific track. Up here, I could choose to insert and overwrite sequences as nests. That's when we actually start getting into editing more and more, because if you apply effects, you can apply effects on top of each other as long as you're nesting as sequences, so that you don't end up changing what you already did. Right here, the little magnet, this is the snap key. I can turn it on and off by hitting the S button. This is so that I can have stuff snap to my playhead. Okay. Link selections, I can do that. I can have it off, and then I can individually select stuff, the audio and the video, and I can move them around or edit or cut small pieces out of it. I can add markers. This is also with the M key. This is if I'm trying to mark a specific place that I'm trying to do something. And then I have display settings where I can actually show things with it. So I could show pieces. So if I'm editing for this, so let me minimize this again. And oops, that's not what I want. To look at my video, I can increase the size of my stuff to see kind of where I'm at. I can zoom in on my timeline to see the tracks of where I want stuff. So I can start doing some rough edits. You shouldn't really try to do like fine edits at this point. You're really just trying to get a sequence. So if I'm listening to him talking, I'm probably going to cut that audio piece out or drag that to the very start. So it's not going to let me do that. So let's go ahead and I can unlink. I can select. Actually, let me link it. I'm just going to cut that piece. So if I know I'm not going to use that piece, I can use this. Now, what we defaulted is our selection tool. That's so we can click and drag and move stuff. But we can also use this as a razor tool. You should be careful in using a razor tool. We could do the ripple edits and trims, which are much better. They are a little bit less destructive in your sequence. Again, you're not actually destroying the original video clip. We could re-import it and it wouldn't be a problem. But if I know that I'm never going to use a piece again, I know I'm not going to use him not talking right there, I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. So I use where my playhead is, and that's why I have that snap, because I can snap exactly where I want it, and then I can cut. Okay, I click V, or I can click my selection tool again, and if I'm zoomed in, I can see that, let me move the playhead, that I actually cut that clip. Okay. Now I can select that, and it lets me know it's selected because it's gray, and I can go ahead and hit delete. And then I'd have to drag my stuff over. If I want to undo, I can just hit Control Z. There is another delete. I think it's Command Delete. Oh, maybe it's. It would be your Alt Delete if you have that selected, and it's just going to have everything take up that space. So this is what we got so far.
So I always tell people that if you want to become a brewer, you have to be a.
Okay. Now I'm actually probably going to have him start talking just a little bit after. And if I change the order of my stuff, so if this Topa Topa is on the top, whatever is on the top is going to be the audio that I'm going to hear. So now this is what we got so far.
So I always tell people that if you want to become a brewer, you have to be obsessed with beer and love it. It takes a special individual.
Okay. Looking at that, I think that I'm going to hit the up key just to go back to the track. Up and down is what allows us to go to the end pieces of stuff. If I'm looking at that Topa Topa, I feel like that is hanging a little too long. Let me mute him. So I want, wow, that's really long. So I'm actually going to clip to here. So if I get this icon right here, if I go to the end of any of my clips, red means that it's dragging and it's not moving. It's just leaving it where it is. If I drag and I hit, I believe it would be your guys' control, or it may be your shift or option. But what you guys are doing is you're clicking until it turns yellow, and then we can edit stuff in. Actually, it's not going to let us do it at the start of the clip, is it? All right, well, I guess we're not going to be able to do that like that. But I'm going to pull it into my timeline. It snaps right there, and then I'll move it back. So this is what it would look like now. All right, so now let's listen to it with the sound.
So I always tell people that if you want to become a brewer, you have to be obsessed with beer and love it.
Okay, do we want him to start talking at that point?
I'll learn and love it.
His face kind of looks stupid right at that part. So I'm just pulling out just a little bit. So he's talking about a special person. So now I can go back into my stuff and see if I got some type of clip that I feel would support that. So let's go back into my icon view. Okay. Anytime. It's not annoying at all. My pause button is right above it. All right, so let's start scrubbing. Somewhere where it looks like it's hot. I don't mind that one. Okay. So that's going to be my source. That's my eye. Okay. So I have my piece. I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to mute this track. All right, so
love it. It takes a special individual.
There we go. Takes a special individual.
And love it. It takes a special individual to be in a brewery where it's almost 100 degrees and you got steam in your face, it's wet. It's really not a glamorous job.
Okay. So I don't need this audio right here. If I left it on and we listen to that whole thing again, we're going to have a lot of noise.
It's wet. It's really not.
Okay, so I can edit pieces of my stuff. So this is basic editing, guys. If I wanted to pull this in, okay, using what I was saying, the getting it yellow, I can pull out and it doesn't move. That will leave my size. It just extended that way. If I have stuff actually butted up, so let me put my marker onto that one. Okay, and then I can put an M for marking since I'm moving it. So here, if I have selected right at the edge, I can do it's like a rolling edit where I can drag, and I should see on my program panel, it's showing the end point of the clip right before it and the starting point of the clip that I'm on. And it's only going to go out to the end of my tails. So see where it stopped right here? That's because I didn't pull in anything on the clip on the right for me to go much farther than that. Okay. So we're going through, we're editing, we're building that story. Again, I'm not really trying to refine. There are going to be more techniques that I'm going to be using as I'm going through this, but starting to build from the ground up, dragging pieces in using I and O and throwing them in there, okay? Rough edits should only take a few days, but you're trying to get all of the audio and the other pieces in. Now there are a number of methods for if you need to sync your audio with your video because you recorded them on a dual system, so you record them with a recorder and you're trying to sync them up because otherwise you're going to end up having to try to line it up, which is just horrible. So there's a couple other methods I have in the YouTube video. Basically all you're doing is you're selecting your two pieces. You're selecting your two pieces, and so let's see. Once you select your two pieces, so like this would be the audio sync, we can select both of them if we wanted to sync those clips, and those are the ones that they have something to do with each other. I could right click, and then I could choose to merge clips, and that would automatically sync up the audio with the video. I could also do it where I'm actually dragging it back down. So let's say that I unlinked my stuff here and just show you where I moved it off. So now they are not in sync. Okay, so if they were no longer linked, I could highlight both my clips. So I select my audio, my video. I can right click and I can go to synchronize. It may not let me do it since it's already the same one. So if I was cutting, let's just do that. I'll put this one back. I'm going to drag this one down. And let's solo this track so we can listen to what it sounds like.
I think first and foremost, just quality. There's a lot of breweries out there preaching, quality first and using high quality.
Okay, so these are two separate audio and video clips. I have horrible audio on this clip, so let me mute other pieces.
So I always tell people that if...
Okay, so that's not very good audio.
I think first and foremost, just quality.
Okay, this is the good audio track. It's not really synced with it.
I think first and foremost, just quality.
Okay, so that's bad audio from the camera, and then we have good audio.
I think first and foremost...
Okay, so now if I want to sync those, ideally you want to try to get them as close together as possible. You select both of the clips, you right click, and you synchronize right there. Okay, we can choose to sequence clip start, and we hit OK. And now synchronize.
I think first and foremost, just quality. There's a lot of breweries out there preaching, quality first.
Okay, so that's how we can do a lot of stuff just using our timeline panel. Okay, so that's where you guys are spending the majority of your time, is you guys are going to be doing your editing. Focus on rough edits. Get the order and the layout first. We can do the adjustments and the finer measurements after that. And then we can start doing color grading and effects, and then do some J&L transitions, which will help speed along. Because remember, you guys only have 30 seconds to a minute. It cannot go over a minute. All right?